What an exciting time to be alive. Here now, newly nominated Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Well, first of all, congratulations, Tulsi. We're all very proud of you. Take us into the room or the airplane when this was offered to you. How did it go down?
We had a great conversation and talked a little bit about the work that needs to be done. And I was grateful and honored to accept President Trump's offer to serve our country and support his objective to defend the safety, security, and freedom of the American people as the Director of National Intelligence.
Tulsi Gabbard's appointment as Director of National Intelligence is crucial for Palantir shareholders. Palantir's significant government contracts mean that the national intelligence role is likely to greatly influence their business. Gabbard has previously expressed reservations about Palantir's role in surveillance, which might be on investors' minds. These views could be outdated, and it doesn't preclude her from being positive for the company. It's just important shareholders consider this as a risk to the company. So let's get to know her a bit here.
How do you think foreign capitals are taking your nomination and the nomination of other people in the national security apparatus?
It's a good question. I think President Trump has already shown how active he has been in not waiting around for day one on January 20th or 21st, but he's already leading. He's already engaging with so many of these world leaders around the world on the phone constantly. And he's showing the kind of leadership that the American people voted for.
Do you expect resistance from the inside? Because there was a lot of resistance in the first term, and how would you deal with that?
The American people delivered quite an incredible mandate for change in this election, with the popular vote and the electoral vote overwhelmingly saying, hey, we want Donald Trump as president, and we've had enough of the Harris-Biden regime. Of course, there's going to be resistance to change from the swamp in Washington. I think that's kind of the point. The American people are saying, hey, stop looking at yourselves, stop focusing on your own power, your own position, your own bank accounts. How about we have leaders in Washington who are actually looking out for the American people? And on every issue across the board, that's really what it comes down to with what President Trump is trying to accomplish is we have to make sure that our government puts the interests of the American people first.
If the American people's mandate is this strong, does it suggest a deeper frustration with Washington's bureaucracy? Could this resistance signal the start of real structural change, or just another chapter in the status quo?
How did you think the Biden meeting went today?
It was interesting to see that Biden didn't seem to be able to stop smiling. For them to have sat there for what she said a couple hours and good. I'm glad that they sat there. They had a seemingly good conversation. President Trump, I'm sure is eager to get to work and glad to be back there.
What do you think Kamala's thinking right now?
I can't even begin to venture how she's feeling right now. The amazing thing is what I hope the American people are feeling is a sense of hope. And frankly, Jesse, I've been heartened to see how engaged people continue to be, even though the election is over, that they're really looking forward to making sure that their voices are continued to be heard as we go through these next couple of months, as President Trump takes office, as he begins to lead this significant change in our government. To me, this is what an active and thriving democratic republic looks like. It's not just centered around an election every 2 years or every 4 years. It's going to continue to require an active populace in this country in order to bring about this kind of change that makes sure we have truly a government of, by, and for the people.
Isn't this exactly where technologies like Palantir come into play? If sustained civic engagement requires transparency and accountability, could data-driven platforms help bridge the gap between citizens and government?
And you're going to be very active working alongside this team. You got Waltz, you got Radcliffe, you got Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio. How excited are you, and what are the plans?
I think a lot of us, I think we're all eager to get to work. There is so much to be done. Meetings have already begun. President Trump is leading the charge in making sure that on day zero, once he takes that oath again on January 20th, that we're all chomping at the bit to
That's
get after
great.
it.
I mean, that's why people are so excited. You can feel it. You can smell it in the air almost. It's almost distracting because people can't wait to get started and see what you guys are going to be up to. How are your Democrat colleagues taking it, or former Democrat friends? You know, you left the Democratic Party, you became a Republican. Now you are in a Republican administration. What's been the reaction from those people?
You know, Jesse, I'm actually pretty heartened. I've heard from some of my former Democrat colleagues who are still serving in office today, as well as some who've left and are no longer serving in the House or the Senate, reaching out and in what I hope could be and should be an effort for us to work together and put the American people first, to uphold, support, and defend the Constitution. And again, ensure the safety, security, and freedom of the American people. This should be the objective of every single member of the House and the Senate, every single person who works in our government. And so I was glad to hear from some of my former colleagues I haven't heard from in a little while.
That's really nice. I mean, you'd expect that in a republic. You know, everybody wants to be safe.
Yes.
Everybody wants to be secure. It should be bipartisan. Do you expect to get the support from leading Democrats when you push an America First agenda through?
I would hope that we have elected leaders who have heard the American people in this election, even if it didn't turn out the way that they wanted, and recognize that this is our opportunity to come together as a country and put the American people first and work together in order to be able to accomplish that.
Palantir's ability to process complex information aligns perfectly with the goals outlined here. By making government more transparent and efficient, it can help leaders deliver on promises and meet the high expectations of the American people.
Nothing controversial about putting the American people first. Tulsi Gabbard, I'm going to have to call you secretary now. I know you haven't been confirmed, but it's the polite thing to do. Director, excuse me. I can't even get it right. There's a lot of titles flying around. It's hard to keep track of. Thank you so much. Great to see you, and good luck.
Thanks, Jesse. Who we have in positions of power affects our everyday lives. You know, to Kat's point, we have to be able to come together around the things that we share in common, which is we are all Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And if we really care about each other and our country, let that be the starting point: freedom and peace and prosperity. The thing that I first experienced when President Trump got elected in 2016, I was invited to come and meet with him 2 weeks after the election, right before Thanksgiving, here in Trump Tower. First Democrat to go and see him.
Mm-hmm.
We had an hour-long conversation about foreign policy. What's going on with Islamist terrorism? How do we deal with ISIS and Al-Qaeda in the Middle East? It was a fantastic conversation and very meaningful. 5 minutes after I walked out the building, my phone blew up from messages from my former Democrat colleagues in Congress, even some family members, friends. How dare you humanize
Yes.
Donald Trump?
The humanizing.
Was the message that was throughout. And so it exposes their twisted mindset
Mhm.
that it's not really about the issues they supposedly care about. It is about them, and it's about power.
Open discussions like this are critical for addressing complex challenges. It's disheartening to see backlash for simply having a conversation, especially when those conversations can lead to better policies that benefit everyone.
Yeah. You can't humanize
Or
him.
clout. Yeah.
Too late. They tried to kill him. He's now a legend. Sorry, guys.
When we talk about the weaponization of the federal government against opponents of the current regime,
Mm-hmm.
obviously we look at Donald Trump, target number one. Kamala Harris put me on a domestic terror watch list called Quiet Skies. But it's people like that in Florida, people in Western North Carolina who I was with the day before Election Day, and they feel left behind. And guess what? The vast majority of them came from counties that were overwhelmingly traditionally Trump voters.
Mm-hmm.
And so they felt what we saw there that was exposed. Why is FEMA not coming out here for us? Why are they not showing up for us? It's this political retaliation that we've seen and that voters have seen, and thank God President Trump's going to end it.
The notion that government agencies, including FEMA, are seen as tools for political retaliation is troubling. When citizens feel overlooked or even punished for their political beliefs, it erodes trust in public institutions. It's not just about the immediate impact on disaster relief. It speaks to a broader problem of how governance is perceived. These communities feeling abandoned represent a larger issue where parts of the country feel sidelined. For companies like Palantir, which leverage technology to optimize resources and decision-making, it's crucial to ensure that data isn't manipulated for partisan purposes, but instead used to genuinely support people in need, regardless of their political affiliations.